I'm happy we're doing this in San Francisco because this city has been unbelievably welcoming to me, generous to me since I came here on the daylight streamlined train to visit my mother's family when I was 12 years old. And it just has allowed me to expand and be an artist and be someone in the community in a way that would have made my grandparents and my parents very proud. And quite specifically, it really has allowed me to be, in the fullest sense, an American, a Jew, and as of 2 years ago, a gay married man. And whatever else I'm doing in music, that would be impossible without the sort of raw material that all of this richness provides.
So let's take a step back and talk a little bit about your remarkable roots. About 10 or 15 years ago, one of my colleagues was writing a profile of you for the Times and mentioned that your grandparents were stars of the Yiddish theater.
Yeah.
And we got a very stern letter to the editor rebuking us. And we published it, and it said, to the editor, Michael Tilson Thomas's grandparents were not stars of the Yiddish theater. They were superstars of the Yiddish theater.
Well, I guess that is true. And I mean, the reason I'm called Thomas anyway, my father changed his name from Tomaszewski to Thomas because he couldn't, as their child, as Boris and Bessie Tomaszewski's child, deal with this, that no one would accept him as who he was for himself. It was always, oh, you're Teddy Tomaszewski? Oh my God.
It's hard to conceive what superstars they were. I mean, I looked at the old Times clip when your grandfather died, and I think it said that there were 30,000 people lining the streets, and he built the first Second Avenue Theater, isn't that right? I mean, they had Yiddish Parsifals and tragedies and wrote music.
He was a very visionary producer and gave a lot of people a lot of chances. He was very much involved with giving young authors and composers a chance to do things. But I think most of all, this shaped my perspective on things because I was growing up in a house which was, after all, a household of actors, theater people. But they were very aware of music. My parents loved music of all kinds, had a vast record collection of Bach and Schoenberg and things like that.
I've been told that when you first met Leonard Bernstein, I think you went to visit him in New York, he put you on the spot. What was it that he asked you?
He said, okay, play me your favorite piece. What's your absolutely favorite piece?
Did you panic or did you know what to say?
I just went to the piano and I played this. So on. That is towards the very beginning of the last movement, the Abschied, farewell movement of Das Lied von der Erde. He really liked that. So that was like, oh my gosh, oh, I see. What I saw with Bernstein was this guy who had these amazing dreams and who really knew how to work with people and organizations and sponsors and everything to kind of rally people around the idea that this wonderful vision of beauteousness, the same vision my father had, but that people could rally together to make this happen. And even sometimes people who perhaps did not initially share in that vision so much could be inspired to make it possible for others to have the opportunity to get it, especially young people. I do believe in all of this, and at the same time, it's about the kids. It's about their having the experience of this when they're 5 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, of this just becoming a natural language for them. And their families sharing that learning experience with them in a way that is really nurturing. If that is not done, then everything else is kind of catch up later on. I think any musician would tell you that the real treasure for us is the notes, the actual testimony of the notes, of what the notes say, what the notes witness. And it's this great mystery that this lattice of changing pitches, just these locations within the acoustic range, that somehow these things seem to connect us with emotional states. I mean, as Bernstein said, there are emotions for which there are no words, but there definitely is music. I believe classical music is kind of a preserve for endangered emotions. And that so much of what the music is about, things like wistfulness and longing and ardency and all these terms which scarcely anybody knows their meaning, that to keep these spirits alive, the testimony of these things alive, to kind of create an oasis to which people can go and say, yes, this is a really important part of being a human being.
Well, what do you think is next for people who love music and care about it and make it and listen to it?
My whole involvement in this came so much through the personal testimony of all sorts of artists that I met at different points in my life. I mean, that changed my course from being in mathematics and physics to being in music, just because the musicians were so much more passionate about what they were after. So I think figuring out ways in which there can be more contact between the performers and the audience is important. I look forward to a future in which all musicians will think of themselves as kind of living national treasures, and that the communities will also say, these people not only play this beautiful music, but they exemplify this wonderful cultural testimony of truth and beauty. And we need these people in our community. And we have to do whatever's necessary to make sure that they can be amongst us and carry this forward.